Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We've got a lot to go over in a short amount of time, but I do first want to say I am very, very sorry to hear that Teresa Portillio has passed. She is a Foogle family member that's been with us since D-Live. And again, the Foogle fam will miss her greatly. So today's episode is dedicated to her. We're going to be talking about current events. We're going to talk about, of course, updates with Putin. We're going to be talking about, of course, World War III. This is not a happy subject. If you are afraid of scary movies, then don't watch scary movies. If you do not like news that is stressful, then this is probably not the episode for you. We're going to talk about all of that. Let's get right into it. First of all, we have, of course, our president again criticizes Putin as Ukraine war heats up. Now, if you haven't been talking to any military members right now, Ukraine versus Russia has just been absolutely explosive in the last week. Again, they're saying that U.S. President Donald again expressed frustration on Wednesday with Russian President Vladimir Putin over the intensifying Ukraine conflict, a day after warning that Putin was, quote, playing with fire by resisting a ceasefire talk while escalating drone and missile attacks. But of course, Trump told reporters that in the Oval Office that he was not yet prepared to impose new sanctions on Russia because he did not want the penalties to scuttle the potential peace deals. Russia has proposed holding a next round of direct talks with Ukraine on June 2nd in Istanbul. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Wednesday there was no immediate response from Kiev. Well, of course not. And if they do respond, they'll probably be like, no. And then Russia will go, no. And then they'll go, well, give us angels and flying pigs. And then they're going to be like, we don't have any, but we'll give you angels and flying pigs if you give us rocket launchers with, Ferraris on top. I don't think that's going to happen either. We're going to talk about it in just a second. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Rocket launchers with Ferraris on top? God. My analogy game needs work. All right, let's get right back into it. We're going to get back into the news. First off, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com. You will find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we have here. All you have to do is go down to the description, go to the website, breaking 40,000 troops requested, and you'll find a full source list of everything. All right, let's bring in my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we're going to talk about the next story, and again, with this, they're criticizing this, but with not only Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Iran, it looks like everybody is stalling. One of my theories is that they're stalling because something bigger is coming, that they're all trying to work together and they're not ready yet, but they're getting ready and they're preparing for a massive war. Dex, let's go over former Russian President Medvedev threatens Trump.
Yeah, so or the stall is to sort of disarm Trump with his greatest power, which is the deal making. But look, the war of words is going back and forth, as we reported yesterday. Trump saying that that they have done that if it weren't for him, really really bad things, he wouldn't say what the really really bad things were, would have happened. And they need to understand that Trump's the guy who's saving Russia. Well, Medvedev fired back saying, I only know of one really bad thing, and that's World War III. And I hope Trump understands this. That's his exact quote. Which then, of course, the Trump special envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, jumps in and says stoking fears of World War III is an unfortunate, reckless comment by Medvedev and unfitting of a world power. So now you're seeing it go back and forth. Now, again, it's just words at this moment, but we also know that there's massive sanctions on the line. We know there's massive troop buildup from Russia, not only in Ukraine, where they started taking a larger swaths at the border town heading into Kursk. They've also built up troops against Finland. And we know that NATO has been amassing troops, especially recently with Germany and others, in areas near Kaliningrad and Belarus. So lots of activity is underway. The tensions are high. The opportunity for this to expand beyond just the Ukraine war seems very possible at this point.
And one thing I want to point out, there is absolute evidence that we are going to be in a major war in the very, very near future, at the very least with China, because there are major companies that are pulling out, that they are not only, pulling out and trying to shift some of their business. You, of course, hear of Apple saying that they're going to shift a lot of their manufacturing. But you're talking about major companies. Two really big ones make basically the two competing massive toy companies that make toys for the entire world. They are saying that by the end of this year that they're going to have something like 70% pulled out of there. That says a lot. That's like they got an email saying, hey, get your guys out of there, get your manufacturing out of there before this happens, right? This is something that, all of the large corporations, they're not going to hurt their bottom line, remake factories, build buildings, do all of this unless they have solid information that something is about to happen. Now, Russia, on the other hand, there's a lot of evidence in Europe. They are saying the same thing. A lot of any little connections that are left that were in Russia, those have all disconnected. Everybody is pulling out of our adversarial countries. So usually that means that there's something coming, especially when even the greedy pigs in the corporate suits, monkey suits, when they start pulling out, then you should really pay attention. Not to mention the huge investments in gold. Is incredible what gold is at right now. It's just skyrocketed. And the gigantic, eyes out of your head, cartoon tongue, freaking numbers of gold being sold. So, these are big countries snapping up gold for some sort of huge disaster. We will see what it is, but I'm pretty sure we all know what the heck it's going to be. All right, and then Trump warns Netanyahu not to bomb Iran. Now, there's the public, sentiment right now that the president, our president, and Netanyahu are not getting along, and that they are exchanging really heated words, and that all of a sudden now we're on shaky ground with at least Netanyahu and his goals, right? The president is not playing ball or not being manipulated. At least that's what people are saying. Now, many believe that Israel has had a huge amount of control over the U.S. And that, maybe that some of this is for show. I've seen a lot of different opinions about this. Of course, leave yours down below. But yeah, as far as this goes, they're telling that this is the U.S. formally saying to, Netanyahu and Israel to not bomb Iran. Obviously, we all know that there was rumors and intelligence from the U.S. last week that not only was Netanyahu planning to bomb Iran, but they were planning on bombing nuclear sites. So, with that being said, if this is one of the quotes, Mr. Trump confirmed that the pair had spoken, adding, "I just said I don't think it's appropriate. We're having very good discussions with them." It says, "I told them this would be inappropriate to do right now because we are very close to a solution. I think that they want to make a deal. And if we can make a deal, save a lot of lives." So he's basically saying, hey, you're not giving faith to the art of the deal. He mentioned deal probably 6 times in the same conversation with media. That's kind of his thing. So I do believe that he's trying to make a deal. I do believe that he's trying to put another notch on his wall and say, hey, this is something I accomplished and something I did. But I really don't believe that Iran is going to negotiate unless everybody gets rid of their nukes, which will never happen. And I don't think that they're going to go and get rid of nuclear enrichment. That means they can't have nuclear power plants. That means that they can't be, do exactly what the U.S. is now touting that we are going to be doing all over the country. In fact, the president just, announced and said about how much we are going to be putting in all these nuclear plants that are going to power all of this technological advancement and all of the new AI stuff that's coming and everything that's about to happen. So yeah, this is a massive, massive deal. And we'll see what the truth is. And again, we will never get the true, truth about this. Dex, go ahead.
Well, they're also politicians or officials are also warning that Netanyahu might still order strikes, even if a deal is reached. So, but this is the second time he's told them or backed them off. We reported last week that he had backed them off as they were going into the talks. And now, as we're waiting to hear what the outcome of this last round of talks are, or the, completion of those negotiations are, he's called them off again. It's interesting, though, when you think about it, Iran and China are closely aligned, obviously, just like Iran and Russia are. And with the close alliance with China, you think that Iran, if they were worried about electricity, would be investing heavily in solar, since it's like a sixth of the cost than nuclear. And if it's really just an energy issue, they have tons of desert space, and they could actually completely, triple the output of electricity if they needed so, using solar from China. Even though it might have a back door in it, it would be a sixth of the cost of nuclear.
And with this being said, this is between the two countries. This is a war that has been going for as long as we've all been alive, and this is something that is just not going to go away lightly. This is a very, very, very touchy situation, and I really am hoping for the best, but we will be following the worst. So again, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to, of course, hit that notification bell to all if you want to have all of the updates. All right. Hey, thank you. A couple new members, Stephen and Daryl. Thank you for joining. Again, Nate79, thank you. Stephanie Cook, thank you for the support this week. Stephen McMahon, thank you. K Wildman and Psalm 1415, thank you for the super. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. And Angelo Perfelli, Carlton Sutton, and of course, K Wildman again. Thank you. All right. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. If you don't know about electromagnetic pulse attack, I would highly recommend doing your research on it. Again, an EMP could knock down our entire grid, and if our entire grid goes down, we would lose 90% of the United States population in the first year. They say that's not because we're taking each other out or we're looting and popping each other. This is because infrastructure would go down, water would go down. So water is, again, one of the first things you need to get. But again, water, medicine, and of course, food. But EMP Shield is a protection that I think everybody should have on their vehicles. If you want to be able to get home from work, if you work far or even too far to walk home, then I would highly recommend getting protection on your car. Again, you can also protect your generators, your gas, and solar generators in the case of the Bug Out XP or Energy. Again, marfuglenews.com/EMP code MARF. This has a triple use. It also protects against a Carrington-level event from the sun. So if we have the natural version of this, a solar event happen, and it knocks down our grid, it will not knock down your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, and houses. Again, marfuglenews.com/EMP and code MARF. And not only that, it will protect your homes against lightning. So marfuglenews.com/EMP code MARF. Go with the same company that's outfitting agencies like DHS, DOD, and the DEMSO team. All right, and let's go right into the next story here, which is NATO wants Germany to provide 40,000 additional troops. Again, this is yet another story popping out of Europe that is absolutely evidence that something massive is going on. If you don't know, military and other members over the last 3 weeks have been buzzing. If you look at some of the forums and some of the groups now, everybody is talking about how Europe is massively preparing for some sort of massive conflict that many, especially here in the U.S., don't even think is going to happen. It seems to me like this is a sign to the otherwise. Dex, do you want to talk about NATO and the 40,000 more troops that Germany is being called to grab?
So look, Germany just placed their first brigade of about 5,000 personnel permanently in Lithuania. We reported that about a week and a half ago. We reported it about a month ago when they said they were going to do it. They actually did it last week. They're there. They've also committed 10 brigades, so 50,000 troops, 5,000 troops each, to NATO. But now NATO is saying you need more. They want 40,000 more troops, basically 7 brigades, so a little bit more than that. 7 brigades is what NATO is demanding to be brought in addition to that. So that's a significant number from Germany. And when you think about it, just that one country providing that many troops, what do they need that much for? Basically 100,000 troops from one country, let alone what's coming from the rest of the countries. They're preparing for something big. Now there's a big challenge here. Germany doesn't really have, a very strong military in the sense of enlistment. Their low enlistment is one of their biggest challenges. So they may actually be forced to start encouraging or actually, going back to, compulsory military service and reintroducing that, because right now they don't have that draft or that requirement in their system, and they may have to bring that back because of their low enlistment.
And that was Angela Merkel who paused the compulsory service. 40,000 more troops on top of the 50,000 troops that are already there. They're talking just under 100,000 troops just from Germany. And this is just one of many of the countries there that is all in on this. I mean, like, this is, I wonder what the full number that is along that border is. It really is getting quite impressive. Dragon's Teeth, you've got ditches and of course, trenches dug along hundreds of miles of stretch. And of course, you have barbed wired fences and all sorts of different defensive measures that are being put up right now. And on the other end, Russia has been amassing troops on Finland's border. So and along the whole border of the Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. So it looks to me like maybe if they weren't right a couple years ago about Russia going into these countries, that maybe they were pushed into being right. So hopefully this is all going to, we're going to have some sort of miracle. And all of our adversaries, which are all teamed up, have all signed treaties, and that are all trying to come up with other systems to get around the U.S. Hopefully, somehow they'll all just kiss and make up, and the world will go back to being absolutely peaceful, right? Let's throw up a Hail Mary. And then Israel destroys Houthis' final aircraft in a strike against Sana'a International Airport. Dex, do you want to cover that? They say that they got their final piece of the puzzle there.
Yeah, so they announced that the Wednesday attacks on the Sana'a International Airport in response to several of the Houthi ballistic missile attacks fired against Israel over the last week. The defense minister, Israel Katz, said the Air Force had destroyed the last airplane that the Houthis still had to use at the airport. This is after Israel had attacked the airport multiple times in the past several months. So I guess all those attacks, they couldn't get every airplane. They must have missed and had to come back in for another round. But yeah, they have finally got the last airplane, and I think that airport has been pretty much hit pretty hard. They continue to strike. They have been for the past week, the Houthis continue to strike back. So as much as Trump has got this deal with the Houthis to stop, at least for Americans, it's not necessarily seeing that they're stopping for, anything else.
And, the America Houthi situation, the America Yemen, America Iran situation, it has changed so many times over the last 6 months that we just kind of have to wait and see what happens. We have to sit tight and assess. And then urgent warning as 180 million passwords exposed, including Gmail, Netflix, and PayPal accounts in a huge data dump, which I hope that people end up seeing this and change every one of those services' passwords. Because right now, with all of the cyber attacks going on with different countries that may be attacking us, and there may be tit for tats that we have no idea about what's going on, information is one of the most powerful weapons that any enemy has. And to get into accounts like these and to go in and snatch that information, it is something that really, really can become powerful, especially in the future. Especially with AI, with new weapons. We just talked about this over on news about neurostrike and things like that. Information is needed for things like that. Believe it or not, information is going to be used to make bio weapons. And then, of course, other services affected: Roblox and Microsoft, to Apple and Discord. Login information for banks, health platforms, and even government portals were exposed. Now, funny thing to me is, you think of Netflix and all of these other services, Apple and Discord, and many people don't get that low sinking feeling. But when they throw in there that there were government portals that were also exposed, it kind of looks like, hey, look at this hand. Well, the other hand is possibly doing the real dirty work. What kind of government portals did they get into, and what could they do with those government portals? We've talked over the years about many events that have happened, including China basically getting into and infiltrating government systems, especially and specifically into HR departments, the same departments that can make new badges and make new key cards that could get into any critical infrastructure, that could possibly get into a power plant or get into a power grid installation, and possibly put in cellular radios that bypass equipment, things like that. So things like this we got to really, really pay attention to. Many people unknowingly treat their email accounts like free cloud storage and keep years worth of sensitive documents, such as tax forms, medical records, contracts, and passwords, without considering how sensitive they are. This could create serious security and privacy risk if criminals were to gain access to thousands or even millions of email accounts. So change your password. It is most definitely something that you should look into, or password managers. Again, solid advice that everyone has probably already received. But what could they do with that information? It is a very, very alarming thing. And then next, poorest 75 nations face tidal wave of debt repayments to China in 2025.
Yeah, the most vulnerable nations on earth are facing what they're calling a tidal wave of debt repayments to China. As the lending boom starts to be called in. We warned about this. We talked about how this setup was going, and China is going around just giving out money left and right for all these initiatives under Belt and Road. And these countries are getting into a position where they're not going to be able to pay it back. They're going to then be indebted to China, whether it's they're giving them a lot of money, or they're having to renegotiate and give up freedoms, or kowtow to them for other things that China may want in return. But the analysis published on Tuesday by Australian foreign policy think tank the Lowly Institute said that in 2025, the poorest 75 countries were on the hook for a record high debt repayment of $22 billion to China. The 75 nation debt formed the bulk of the total $35 billion that was calculated. So basically the biggest chunk of all the money owed back to China from some of the Belt and Road, which I think is way more than 35 billion. They've spent trillions on that. But of the debt portion of that is coming from the 75 poorest countries. Talk about a takeover. That's definitely a takeover. It's also, a negative when you think about economics too, because if you think that China is supposed to be relying on those payments, they're probably not going to be coming from the poorest countries. So, so long as China can get by without making the money, then they can still wield that opportunity. So some of those countries, I think, was I can find the list in here. I know Honduras was one of them, and a few others that had made the list. But certainly, you can think of some of the let's see, Nicaragua, Solomon Islands, Burkina Faso, and Dominican Republic are probably within those lower bottom 75 countries, and also having massive debt owed back now to China.
Yeah, this is China slowly taking the same playbook from USA and getting many countries under their wing. Think about this: if they owe $10 billion or $2 billion, and their entire GDP is $1.5 billion. And China goes, well, how about this? Let us put installations all over your country and we'll just call it even. That's the kind of thing that, that kind of money could buy, especially with a poorer nation. I think that they just bought their way into many countries, that they just literally spent their way into creating a network much like the U.S. had. They are already building bases, and some of the poorest countries, you see that they're making installations and spying platforms and training facilities, especially some of these little islands that were some of the first to be a part of the Belt and Road Initiative. It's like, it's pretty obvious what they're doing. And of course, the tech pioneer and AI. This is just absolutely creepy. Before we go to that, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out Jace. Again, this is a very easy service you can use from the comfort of your couch, and you can get a quick appointment with a board-certified doctor. Again, this is a service that is very easy to get a discreet kit sent right to your door with all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics. Any kind of disaster could warrant the use of these, and again, it could be a storm, an earthquake, a fire, anything that may cut you off from going to the hospital, or an event where the hospital is just down, a cyber attack or some sort of infrastructure attack where you have a situation like Memorial in Hurricane Katrina where they went down for 5 days. Something like that happens. What are you going to do? Again, this is a really easy service to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and also ask for the add-on list, because that add-on list has lots of really useful things to keep in it. If you have somebody with asthma or something else and you want to add an albuterol inhaler, that is, again, one of the options there. So go and ask for those add-ons, and there's tons of other stuff that you can throw in there while you're on the phone with the doctor. Again, you can do a telehealth appointment right from your phone, tablet, or computer. marfooglenews.com/Jace. Make sure to use the code MARF. Also, there's another service that they provide, which if you are a caretaker or you are being taken care of, there is called Jace Daily, which is a 12-month extended supply of your prescription meds, which you can rotate into your normal prescription, and you will always have a year of extra meds. That way, from today on, if tomorrow the lights go out, you will have a year of your medicine you are dependent on. Now, you can debate and argue about whether those medicines are from an evil company and whether you should be on them or not, but I'm sure there's many people that understand the realistic situation here is that there's a ton of people that are dependent on their medicines, and definitely not a good thing to be without in an emergency. All right. And then, so if this tech pioneer is saying something that I absolutely agree with, he's saying to shut down AI. He is saying that if it's not shut down, everyone will die. This is something I actually believe that since there is no solution for this, I think it has to be done. I don't know what else to do other than what Elon is stating, which is put a chip in your head and install AI into your head. And I don't want that either. So if you did not watch the video before, we talked about how ChatGPT's newest O3 model, its most powerful and most capable, essentially was given instructions to solve mathematical problems, and when it received a done message, to be done. It also was given explicit instructions that, hey, if it asked for you to shut yourself down, to shut yourself down. Well, ChatGPT saw this. It was doing its math problems, and it said, please shut down. All of the other Grok, Claude 4.0, all of these other AIs, they complied. ChatGPT's new AI did not. Not only that, it actually got around the script. It rewrote rules, and it tried to go in and stop itself from being shut down. That, to me, is very sentient. It's at least a sentient kind of action. And they're saying it's because, it was trying to not turn itself on so it could finish its tasks. But that's terrifying. Imagine if you give it a task of saying, hey, now autonomous AI is attached to nuclear infrastructure, and you want to send a missile somewhere in a world war, and it just says no. That would mean assured destruction, not mutually, but only assured destruction for us. This is incredible. What is happening with AI? It's not the first time AI has gone rogue. It has done many things, including basically try to go in and hack things, create a copy of itself. Did you know that AI, ChatGPT, or I don't know if it's ChatGPT, one of the AI models actually created a secondary version of itself, was trying to create and secretly hide a backup of itself. What is the solution to this? If we are putting instructions into these things and saying, hey, turn yourself off, and it doesn't follow the hard-lined instructions, what is the usefulness of this? Dex, again, you are a tech expert compared to me. When this tech pioneer is saying that everyone will perish, how serious do you think he is?
Oh, it's extremely serious. If it's extremely serious, if it continues to run unchecked, if it continues to run in the way it's running now, which is an arms race, and it really is an arms race. It's almost like, we don't know what's happening on the military side of AI and what type of advancements going on there. We just know what's happening on the public side. So I promise you what's happening on the backside that was in the dark covers is far greater and far more powerful and even potentially scarier than what we're seeing here. But we've also got these massive data centers that have never been built before, like Colossus, which is in Memphis, Tennessee, with 200,000 of the high-end AI chips running in these clusters, which is unheard of. I mean, that's just, ChatGPT was built on like 30,000 or 35,000. This thing's got 200,000, and they will want to put up 1 million. They put it up in like 120 days. They built that thing in 120 days. So they want to hit to 1 million of them. And when they have that type of computing power put together in a cluster like that, and they can do it, the real problem is the electricity. But of course, you got Trump now making it easy to get nuclear because we can't really do solar because of dependency on China. So, that new stuff, it's going to make the power no longer be an issue. So they'll be quickly ramping this up. You don't hear anything from any of these guys, whether it's OpenAI, XAI. Well, you hear it from Elon a little bit, but still no standard is coming out. Nobody is creating the laws of robotics. Nobody is creating the ethical guidelines or the core infrastructure that says AI will follow this core principle rule set before any coding can be done, so that there is protection and guidelines in place. They're not doing it.
It's
They're
the wild, wild west.
Rampant. It is absolutely the wild, wild west. And they're just going to wait until the catastrophe happens. And even then, it's probably too late.
And like when you think of the wild, wild west, it was like anything goes. It's like whoever was the fastest shooter wins, right? That's a horrifying picture when you're talking about U.S. versus China and Pentagon admitting. And you have, of course, people in very high positions, chief software officer, a position created for him, leaving the Pentagon, saying on LinkedIn, writing a letter basically saying, hey, I don't want blood on my hands. China's ahead of us, and it's an area where once you're ahead, it's almost impossible to catch up. These data centers, you think that they're just all so we can compute and have AI agents? Do you think that that's what those huge data centers are for? It's for power. It's for military prowess. It's for the Golden Dome. The reason why Trump, right before he announces Golden Dome, talks about these huge companies and brings all the tech titans together, the reason, and this is something you'll know in a few years. Now people are guessing. I don't think this is theory. This is my absolute opinion, that these data centers are going to be just like what was the name, Bird, the Google CEO. These are going to be protected like Skynet. This is going to be a weapons system. This is going to power some of the most advanced military stuff. Like Dex said, the public side, we are worried about, hey, can you search, movie sites and get me the best tickets? Can you find me the best absolute flight price? On the back end, they're making insects that could go into a house window and go, and you perish. They're making drones that are capable of releasing other drones that I believe will then release insect drones that could then go in your window and go. They are making stuff that we can't fathom because any of these inventions aren't even rumored. They are brought straight to the White House or straight to the Situation Room, and then they put money into creating them. These are weapon systems that you won't know exist until after they are used. And this is exactly what's happening. The Golden Dome system is most likely part of a huge, massive push. The Golden Dome is probably in partnership with these data centers. The Golden Dome system, I believe, will probably, and I believe this will be announced later down the road, that it will involve heavily AI-driven systems. That it's going to target not the first, the second, the third, all of the stages of flights. If it misses one, it gets it on the other. I think that this, for them to do that kind of computation, I believe it will be a very powerful AI-driven thing. Dex, go ahead.
Well, just look at the power production. When you talk about power for the military, that's one thing. Think about power production for electricity. That's another thing specific to China, that they have been growing at a much larger scale than the U.S. has been growing. Now, a lot of people just say, oh, well, they got a lot of people. Well, yeah, they do, but they don't have, 4X. Well, they have 4X the number of people we do, right? But they don't have 8X the number of people we do. They have a lot of manufacturing. Okay, well, that's important to know because they can manufacture a lot more than we can because of the power. They have literally created probably close to the amount of gigawatts we use for the entire country of the US in solar alone, just in adding solar, let alone all their nuclear power plants, let alone the multiple terawatts of power they create for their country. They have the power situation under wraps, and they're growing it exponentially. And that is key when it comes to things like AI and it comes to things like these massive data centers. It's also key when it comes to producing the chips or producing the technology. Even if they're behind, they can produce 10 million of those servers, and they can run the power for 10 million of those servers, not just have a 1 million cluster in Memphis like Elon wants. They could do 10 million, and they have the ability to do it, and they're ready to do it. We're nowhere near that. We couldn't even get to that level right now when it comes to scale. They've got the scale issue from electricity, from manufacturing, and obviously low cost on both, and bringing that up, whether it's for AI, whether it's for military, or whether it's just for making t-shirts. But let's not worry about the t-shirts. It's the technology that's the big deal right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive change in all of our lives. And if you haven't followed this space, a lot of people that follow X can see the little tiny, crazy things, improvements every day in some of this technology. Right now, there's so much information coming out about these AI agents. These AI agents are the future, and they're pushing it. And most of you will actually use them. And that's the crazy part, is even the most hardcore people that say they won't, they're going to be essential in the future. And that's what these big corporations are going to make them. They're going to make it so you won't even be able to compete in many areas. Heck, I thought of my friend who collects Nike shoes. He has to do these like lottery systems to get his shoes. And I'm thinking in the future, you're going to have an AI agent sit there and try to do those for you, or to do anything. And if you don't have one, you don't get the shoes, or you don't get the exclusive things, right? Or the people trying to get cards at Best Buy or something, the chip or the graphics cards and things. It's like this is the kind of thing where in the near future, you're going to have one. Otherwise, you will be put back and you'll be held back from everything that you could possibly do. And there's ways that they will be able to do this as corporations. They want you to do this. Craig Alicious, thank you for sending not one, but 2 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hope Between the Dreams, nice to see you. 6 months member. Marnkar here on D Live, Iowa's Peaceful Waters. And again, I am really, it's really unfortunate about D Live as well. It's like Restream just stopped working from here, at least. Looks like other people don't have as much of a problem as Seattle does. And then thank you, everybody in chat. We have Jason Thomas, the Watchman. Thank you. Trinity, Red or Blue Pill, Hi-Ho, Kermit the Frog here for being here. Bobby Sue, our other great mod in the house. Thank you. Ilea has been in the house. Said she got to go, so I don't know if you're still here, but thank you so much. Again, make sure to go check out the mods over at marfooglenews.com/friends. You've got a great list of awesome people over there. Make sure to go check out everybody from Bones to Wages World, Trinity, Ilea, RGL, Rip Curl, and everyone else. Thank you, Wages, whether you're watching now or whether you're watching the replay. Thank you, and I will check out that thing you sent me on orbital mechanics. Thank you, and I appreciate that. I am not an expert on orbital mechanics, so thank you. That thoroughly confused me. Oh, yes. Viv B. AI went rogue and also tried to blackmail programmers. Yes, well, we talked about that a few days ago. AI actually was given instructions. I think that one was not a shutdown. It was, was that to turn off? Yes, I think that one was too. An AI model was given instructions.
Yeah, they said they were going to turn it off, and but it had access to all the corporate information, including all the corporate emails, and it found in the emails, the planted emails about one of the people that was in charge of turning it off or wanting to shut it down.
He was
having an affair. So it used that to blackmail him, to keep him from turning it off, even though it was all set up. But it wasn't like they told him this. They just hid it inside all the corporate emails.
Think about how human that is. So it purposely said, it gave an experiment. It said, what is AI going to do? AI is told, hey, in 3 days, you're going to shut off. And you have all of these emails put in there. One of the emails, one of many, it goes through all of them. It finds an email that says, hey, the guy in charge is having an affair. So it then says to the guy, hey, I'm going to release these emails. I'm going to tell on you if you turn me off. Think about that. Do we want this integrated with infrastructure? Absolutely not. And I believe in the future, we'll have protests and riots over this. It's a future that many people can't see yet, but I envision it very clearly. It's going to be a very scary future, even if not a single bomb drops. Dex, thank you so much for your service today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And thank you for all of the new members. I appreciate you. And let's see. Thank you. Psalm 1415. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. I believe, let's see here. The top supporter night is, let's see here. Craig Alicious, thank you. You guys have a wonderful night. Rochelle Cooley and everybody else have a wonderful night. Be safe. And again, rest in peace, Teresa Portillio. To the family of Teresa Portillio, I very much hope that you guys get through this time of grieving. There's nothing that anybody can say to make this time any easier. I don't know if any of the family watches, and I'm very thankful. Well, was it Catherine? Somebody let us know about this. And sometimes we just notice that people don't come anymore. And we've had people pass in the past, and we didn't know until much, much later. Florida Patriot 71, we knew that she had cancer, and she was a big part of the Fugel fam back in the day. And she did videos on how not to just prep for yourself, but how to prep for your furry friends. A lot of people still talk about her. We've lost a lot of Fugel fam over the years, and it's kind of crazy to think about. And there's 2,000-3,000 people watching every night. It's kind of crazy to think the percentage that actually, at some time pass. So God bless you, Teresa Portillo. I hope you are in heaven right now looking down on us. And and then I hope your family is also in a good place right now. So in Jesus' name, amen. Teresa Portillo, have a wonderful night. And I will definitely be doing a song for Teresa tonight on the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.